The bank clerk looked at me, then at the computer screen, and suddenly her smile disappeared. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, like she had just discovered something she wasn't supposed to see. Then she leaned closer to me and whispered a sentence that made my heart stop. "Sir, your son was here last week." I smiled at first. "My son," I said, "Daniel." But the clerk didn't smile back. She swallowed nervously and lowered her voice even more. "He tried to close your account and transfer all of your money." In that moment, something inside my chest went cold. Because my son had never said a word to me about it. And the worst part, the system showed that he almost succeeded. I thought I knew my son. I thought I understood loyalty, family, trust. But that morning at the bank, I realized something terrifying. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones capable of breaking you the deepest. And what I discovered later that night about why my son did it changed everything I believed about my own family. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Alan, and I am 79 years old. At 79, a man believes he has already lived long enough to recognize the sound of trouble before it knocks on the door. You think you understand betrayal. You think you know how far disappointment can reach. You believe that after raising a child with your own hands, after sacrificing years of work, sleep, and dreams for them, there are certain lines they would never cross. You believe family remembers. You believe love remembers. But sometimes, the truth waits quietly in places you never expect, like a small desk inside a bank. And sometimes it arrives with a single sentence that changes everything. It was a grey Tuesday morning when I walked into the bank. The automatic doors opened slowly, and the familiar scent of paper, ink, and polished floors greeted me. I had been coming to that bank for almost 30 years, the same building, the same counters, even some of the same employees. Routine becomes comforting when you reach my age. I wasn't there for anything special, just a simple task, withdrawing some money to pay a few bills and maybe treat myself to lunch at the diner across the street. The young clerk behind the counter smiled politely. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you today?" I slid my card and ID across the counter. "Just a withdrawal," I said, $2,000. She nodded and typed something into her computer. At first, everything looked normal. Then she stopped. Her fingers froze above the keyboard. Her smile disappeared. She looked at the screen again, then at me, then back at the screen. I noticed the hesitation immediately. When you're 79, you learn to read people quickly. Years teach you that silence often speaks louder than words. "Is something wrong?" I asked gently. The clerk swallowed. "Well, Mr. Allen, I just want to confirm something." My chest tightened slightly. "Confirm what?" She leaned closer to the screen and lowered her voice. "Your account has a note here from last week." I frowned. "A note?" She hesitated again. And then she said the sentence that made my heart skip. "Your son came here and tried to close your account." For a moment, the world around me went completely quiet. The soft hum of computers, the low conversations in the lobby, the distant ringing of a phone. Everything faded. "My son," I repeated slowly. "Yes, sir." Her voice was careful now, almost apologetic. "He said he had authorization." I felt something cold move through my chest. My son Daniel. My only child. The boy I had carried on my shoulders when he was little. The boy whose college tuition I paid by working double shifts at the factory. The boy I trusted more than anyone in the world. I tried to keep my voice steady. What exactly did he try to do? The clerk turned the screen slightly, though I couldn't read it clearly. He asked to close the account and transfer the funds to another bank, but when we checked the authorization documents, something didn't match. I blinked slowly. "Did you close it?" "No, sir." Her eyes softened. "We refused. The authorization didn't meet our verification requirements." For a moment, relief washed through me. But it was quickly replaced by something heavier. A question. Why? Why would Daniel try to close my account? He had never asked me about it. He had never mentioned needing money. And if he did need help, why wouldn't he just talk to me? The clerk spoke again. Mr. Allen, the manager asked that if you came in today, we should offer to review the account security with you. I nodded slowly. Yes, that might be a good idea. She printed some documents and handed them across the counter. These are updated authorization forms. You can decide who has access to your account. I looked at the papers. My hands trembled slightly. There was a blank space where Daniel's name had been listed before. All I had to do was sign. One signature. One decision. A father removing his son from the only financial trust he had ever given him. The clerk waited quietly. I picked up the pen. And after a long moment, I signed the paper. But that signature was not made out of anger. It was made out of something else. A need for truth. Because deep inside me, a question refused to disappear. Why did my son do this? I left the bank slowly, the envelope tucked under my arm. Outside, the sky had grown darker. The diner across the street suddenly didn't feel appealing anymore. Instead, I walked home. Each step felt heavier than the last. Memories followed me the entire way. Daniel at 5 years old, learning to ride a bicycle. Daniel at 17, nervously opening his college acceptance letter. Daniel hugging me after his graduation, promising he would always take care of me one day. Those memories didn't match the man who walked into a bank and tried to close his father's account. Something didn't add up, and I needed answers. That evening, I called him. The phone rang twice. "Hey Dad," Daniel answered cheerfully. "How are you?" His voice sounded normal. Too normal. "I'm fine," I said. Then I asked the question directly. "Daniel, did you go to the bank last week?" There was a pause. A short one. But long enough. "Yes." My chest tightened. "Why?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Dad, it's complicated." I leaned back in my chair. "I'm 79, son, I've got time." Silence filled the line again. Finally, he sighed. "I was trying to protect you." Those words confused me more than anything else. Protect me from what? His voice lowered. Someone been trying to scam you. The words hit me like a sudden gust of wind. A scam? Yes, he said. I got a call from someone claiming to be a financial advisor. They said you had authorized a large investment transfer. It sounded suspicious, so I went to the bank to check. I felt my confusion deepen. But why try to close my account? Because, he said quietly, I thought someone had already gotten access to it. My mind struggled to process the explanation. Daniel, why did you just call me? His voice broke slightly. Because the person who called knew things about you, your address, your birthday, even details about Mom before she passed. My throat tightened at the mention of my late wife. I thought someone was impersonating you, he continued. I panicked. I thought if I could close the account quickly, I could stop them. The room suddenly felt very quiet. All the anger I had carried since the bank disappeared slowly. And in its place, something else grew. Understanding. But also regret. I signed new papers today, I said softly. What kind of papers? I removed your authorization from the account. There was silence on the other end. A long, painful silence. Finally, he said quietly, I understand. But something in his voice told me he didn't. That night, I didn't sleep well. At 79, sleep already comes and goes like a shy visitor. But that night, it didn't come at all. Instead, I kept thinking about something. Daniel hadn't been trying to steal from me. He had been trying to protect me. Clumsily, imperfectly, but with good intentions. And I had responded with suspicion. By morning, I knew what I had to do. The next day, I returned to the bank. The same clerk recognized me immediately. "Good morning, Mr. Allen." "It's morning. I need to update the paperwork again." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. I placed the envelope on the counter. "I want to add my son back to the authorization list." She smiled gently. "Of course." While she prepared the documents, she asked softly, "Did everything work out?" I nodded. "Yes." Then I added something that surprised even me. "My son wasn't trying to take my money." She looked relieved. "I'm glad to hear that." "So am I said. Later that evening, Daniel came to visit. He walked into my small living room looking nervous. I handed him the updated bank documents. He read them slowly, then looked up. "You added me back." I nodded. "You were trying to protect me." He exhaled deeply. "I'm sorry I didn't explain better. I'm sorry I assumed the worst." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he hugged me. And for the first time since the bank incident, my chest felt light again. Life doesn't stop teaching lessons just because you grow old. At 79, I thought I understood trust. But that week reminded me of something important. Even the people who love us most can make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes come from fear, not betrayal. Moral of the story: trust in family is fragile, but communication protects it. Before assuming betrayal, seek the truth. Sometimes the people we think have hurt us are actually the ones trying hardest to protect us. And sometimes, a simple conversation can save a relationship that a misunderstanding almost destroyed.